Yeah, good evening here in Nigeria. It's 11:34 p.m. I'm Chibueze Obasi. I'm a data analyst and a Power BI developer, and I'm really happy and it's a privilege to be here. I'm sorry to talk about my experience with using Power BI and generally talk about my experience as a data analyst. Yeah, so if at some point you can't hear me anymore, please indicate and do let me know. Thank you so much. All right, so let's I would really love to talk about myself a little bit and what I've been doing. Talk about my journey. I guess I have like 40 or 30 minutes. Not really clear on that though. Okay. All right. So um I started my data journey in 2021 in Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, I have a majors in statistics from Abia State University here in my city. So I was looking for something to move into, and data analytics, data science was the thing for me. But I really didn't want to go into data science because it looked more complicated than the sweet name. Yeah, so it looked more complicated. I made a lot of researches about it, and you know, tried to ask older people who are already on the field, and it wasn't something I wanted to do. Yeah, so I had to opt in for going for data analytics, and honestly, it's been a role. So I had my first boot camp in I had my first boot camp in September, if I'm sure, September 2021, and I couldn't complete that boot camp, and I started another one in January, and that marked the beginning of my data journey. So it's been a really great one for me. Learning new skills, learning how to make sure that every data that comes within you or that comes to you is properly accounted for. All right. So I've really had challenges, I've had challenges in my field. I've had challenges while learning. I wasn't so used to the whole technical space. Here in Nigeria, we are limited to the whole technical space. You're limited to the technical space. Yeah, it's just 2020, 2021. The people started moving into the technical space, and it's formed like it became more like a revolution. So currently in Nigeria, you have hundreds of thousands of youths who are currently learning one skill or the other. So yeah, it's more like a revolution now. So that was the period when I also got into data analytics. So one of my challenges have been moving into the technical space, learning how to code with SQL. By the way, I use Excel, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Power BI, and Microsoft SQL Server. I love using Microsoft products. I love how Microsoft products are easy to use, easy to learn, and their interfaces are much more better than those other flavors out there. Yeah. So I've really enjoyed using Power BI most especially. So I've really enjoyed using Power BI. I've really enjoyed working with Power BI. In as much I've not gotten a job yet, but I've done some side gigs. I've done some projects, with Power BI, and it's really been fun. It's really been fun. So I want to talk about some of the things I've done with Power BI. And I listened to your conversation. I already know that wow, that everyone here has is already far ahead. So I don't know if what I'm going to talk about would look new or would look old, but then I just want to share something I've learned, something that's helped me in my in my in my using in my usage of Power BI, if I'm to put it that way. Something that has helped me to make great reports, make good reports using Power BI. All right, so can you still hear me? Am I audible? Do you need me to increase my voice or anything?
You're
No,
fine.
you sound great.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So, thank you so much. Okay. Just a minute here before I share my screen. All right, cool. Um, all right. So, I believe what I'm about to talk about, yeah, it's something more popular to anyone who uses Power BI for reports, for creating reports or visualizations. So, I would love to talk about some of the tricks. Okay. So, I would love to talk about some of the tricks I would love to talk about some of the tricks I've used in Power BI, that has sorry, excuse me. Okay. Yeah, so I would love to talk about some of the tricks I've used in Power BI to make great reports. All right. So first of all one of the tricks um one of the tools I normally use, or one of the features of Power BI I always love using or is the tooltips. Yeah. So I love using the tooltips in my reports. Even I'm going to show us how to do it here or how I do it here. So I love using tooltips in my reports to talk about something specific from that report. Okay, let's say so this report, generally this data is a world trade analysis data. It was gotten from the United Nations data mart. Yeah, so I got the data off there, and it has let me go to the table. So it's this data contains commodities. I named them commodities. It contains commodities that are being sold in the international market. So I have to group them into different categories. All right. So I had to group them into different categories. I have categories for wood. I have categories for edible fruits or nuts. I have categories for pharmaceutical products, electricity and all and all. I think I have like 11 or so. I have like 11 or so of them. But yeah. Okay. So I have wood, zinc, sweets, sugar, and all of them. All right. So um, these are all commodities that are being sold in the international market. From I got from 1988, right, to 2019, 1988 to 2019, 2019. All right. So these are all commodities that we have been sold. This is more like a data set that contains the inflow and the outflow of commodities from country to country, how commodities are being transported from country to country. All right. So yeah, that is what this data is all about. Okay. All right, so that's what this data is all about. So I love using tooltips in my reports to specifically talk about or highlight an important um thing in my dashboards or in my reports. Okay, so for example, I have count of quantity by category. Okay, let me use here. So I have sum of trade for countries. So this sum of trade for countries is generally talking about the sum of trade or the sum of this how much was realized or how much was made from the sale of these commodities in the different countries. First, I specifically grouped these countries because I didn't want to use all the countries. I had about 100 countries or so. So I didn't want to use all the countries. So I specifically grouped them into two. I specifically group them into two. So I have developed countries and developing countries. All right. So I have developed countries and developing countries. Other developed countries, I have Germany, Canada, Australia, and other developing countries, I have India, Argentina, and of course Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria is a developing country. All right. So I have this visualization here, which is talking about sum of trade for countries. All right. So sum of trade for countries. Now, how do I use a tooltip in a report like this? How do I use a tooltip in a report like this? So what I'm gonna do is this. Um, what I'm gonna do is this. First, I would have to create the tooltip I want to bring in here. So I may not really have it. I may not really have a perfect definition of what tooltips are, but like I said, it's what is being used. I use it in specifically telling the story of another element in that data set or in that report. Okay, so let me create a simple tooltip here. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna want to do another thing that's going to take so much of our time. So let me create a tooltip here. So since this is talking about countries, let me talk about quantities. Okay, let me talk about the quantities that have been sold for each country. Okay, I think I have something like that here. I have something like that here. Okay, let me still bring it up as a tooltip. Let me still bring it up as a tooltip. And okay, so I have it here, quantity and quantity, uh, quantity and shows it when it goes. Okay. Um, Count of quantities. Okay, let me list this. Okay. All right, so I have my count of quantities here. So this is quite to be. So let me try and reduce it to 25. All right, so I have my count of quantities here. So let me say, let me bring in countries. All right, so let me bring in countries and area. All right, so let me bring in countries itself. Okay. It's not in the right way. So let me put this here. All right, so good. Okay, so I believe this is perfect. Okay, so I believe this is perfect. Just a moment. This is perfect. So let me try and make some little adjustments here. Let's say 15. Yeah, 15. Let's bring this to black. And yeah, so not to take so much of our time, let me quickly hurry this up. Um, okay. All right, so I don't like using my titles on. I don't like having my titles on whenever I'm using the y-axis, whenever I'm using a bar chart or the column charts. All right. So I don't always love having it on. So okay, yeah, this is not what I was supposed to do first. Let me cut that. And yeah, so yeah, okay, okay, so I hope this works. No, it didn't work. Okay. Um, okay, so let me try and use this a little bit so it fits into my tutu. Okay, I'll try and use this a little bit so it fits into my tutu. Okay, I think I can take it like this. It's not so bad. All right, cool. So let me call this. Let me change this to two. Okay. So, all right. So now I want to introduce or I want to insert this tooltip into my sum of trade for countries. I want to see every quantity that was being. I know I have a different chart here that talks about it. So I want to talk about. I want to now insert this here and talk about different or the count of quantities for the different what's it called again for the different countries. Okay, so I would click on this and bring it here and come to general. Two tips are on already, so page so to okay. Okay, so I don't need to make any more changes here. All right, so all right, so perfect. So, well, now if I go to any country, so this is Nigeria here. So if I go to any country, it would show me the count of quantities. Yeah, so I didn't use the data labels, to specify what, but then with this range here, you're gonna see that it falls within at least 1,900 to 2,000 quantities that has been sold in Nigeria within the reporting period. All right, so that's one. So one other quantity or one other feature I really love having in Power BI is the drill through. So what the drill through does is to allow me to view additional or more detailed information for a specific item. Now, so I have the count of quantity by year and I have the sum of trade by year. All right, so I want to view the sum of trade by year. I'm using I actually grouped the year. So that's why it's like this. So I want to view the count of quantity by year. It's yeah or the sum of trade by year. So what I have to do is to, come here. Sorry, let's put this on. Then, yeah, it looks a bit scattered though. So let me try using this other one here. Let's see if it works. Okay, so almost the same thing though. All right, so if I were to if this data had months in it, yeah, if it had months in it, let me introduce months. Let me bring in months. Let me spoil it up. Okay. Um. Okay, that didn't work for me. All right. So if I had done it right and I had months on it, yeah, if I drill through, I'm going to see the count of quantity by year or the sum of trade by month for the different months. Okay, so I really love using this because I don't have to come and create another different report for the months, another different report for the year, or if sometimes I work with data sets that have days and week numbers, so I do not have to, and quarter, so I do not have to come and start creating different reports or different visualizations for each of those hierarchies. So I just have to bring them all into one um visualization, then use my drill through feature to to drill through, to break it down from hierarchy to hierarchy. Yeah, so can you all hear me, please? Hi, can you hear me?
You're fine. You're fine. We're here.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so another feature I love using, but not always, or another feature I find that has helped me create great reports in Power BI um are the conditional formats. Okay, are the conditional formats. So the conditional formats come in different ways. You have ones that work with data labels, like here and here, and then you have ones that works on icons. You have ones that work on icons. So what the conditional formats helps me to do, or helps um a report user, or sorry, report builder to do on Power BI, is to specifically condition certain items on your report. Now, for example, now you can see that I have conditioned my data label to show I conditioned my data label. So let me increase this little one more time. Okay. Yeah, so I've conditioned my data labels to show me the different what I call it now, um the different price ranges for, or the different trying to look for a better word for a better word to use. Okay, so okay, let me use this one. So I've like, for example, they're almost the same thing though. So I condition my data label here to show me the different quantities for the different categories. So it's count of quantity by category. It's actually supposed to be quantity by category. The count there doesn't really mean anything. I'll change it later on. All right, so I have different quantities. So it helps me understand the different quantities for the different categories. So I would see what category is doing well and what category is not doing well. So one exciting thing about this conditional format is that you can choose to use a media color. You can choose to use a media color. Okay, and something I've learned a long time is this: as a business intelligence analyst, making use of sorry making use of colors is very important. So what I mean by very important, so you don't have to use green and red at you don't have to use green and red um way you like. Okay, you don't have to use it the way you like. For example, okay, let me try and do something here. I Okay, let me just try and do something here. Let me take a little bit of our time. Wow, my time is almost up. Okay, uh so let me bring this down. Okay, right. So now if you can see, so I'm using the Nigerian naira as the currency symbol. All right. So if you can see very well, now I did a very bad work here. I did a very bad work here, because if if this category thing is selling at 17, is it this 17 billion? Okay. I think it's 17 billion, right? So if it's selling at 17 billion, it's not doing bad, but compared with the compared with the earlier ones or the ones at the top, like the pharmaceutical products, it's doing so bad. But then something selling at 17 billion, you know, sorry, it's not really bad. It's not so bad. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm trying to say. So when you use red here, it signifies that this product is doing very, very bad. It signifies that this product is doing very, very bad. So yeah, so it's not really good to use it like that. So I should have used a much lighter color here, even though compared with the first products, yeah, pharmaceutical products, which is selling in trillions, you know, it's lower than that. Yeah, but I shouldn't have used red. Okay. So not to take so much of our time. So the last one I love using is one more feature I love using, excuse me, is the buttons. All right. So the buttons. All right. So Power BI, I love using Power BI so much because of how because of how easy it is to use and navigate. I actually learned Tableau to but I'm more into Power BI, even though I really want to move into Tableau very soon. Okay. So but then Power BI has a lot of features. I really don't know about Tableau. Oh, they're really taking the lights here. Sorry. Yeah, that's obviously Nigeria. Okay, so I really don't know about Tableau, but Power BI uses Power BI uses this what's it called? These features here, buttons to help you for page navigation, to help you with page navigation and different other things. It depends on what action you're willing to you want to make with it. So it helps you for page navigation, it helps you to for bookmarks, it helps you to read through, it helps you, you can place a web URL on it and so on and so forth. So Power BI gives us or has these features that can help you navigate pages. Let's say you're working with a long page, a long number of page, So to round up on that, so let's say you're working with a long number of page. So using this page navigation would help you to navigate between your pages properly, without having to navigate within your pages properly, without having to move from one page to another. So it's much swifter and much better this way. Okay, so the right, the light is back. Yeah, this is Nigeria. All right, so okay, so let's see how this works. So I want to go to the next page. Okay, I want to go to the next page. By the way, for those of us who don't often use Power BI, it's a very great. You can try it out. For those of us who don't use Power BI very often, you can try it out. It's really a great tool to use. All right, so you have to put on the test. You can say click to move to trade, and all of that. Okay, so excuse me. I don't know if there's something else I really want to talk about this. Okay, so but I love using page navigation. I love using buttons for page navigation. So if I click here, it brings me to this next page. All right, so it brings me to another page in my report. It brings me to another page in my report. So you can see it has brought me to another page in my report. So if I click here, so click to take to summary, it brings me back to my main page. So you see the importance of that. So for example, if you have a long number of pages, you can have you can have all your buttons lined up. You can have all your buttons lined up, and then you move from one button to another button. So one more thing is it's editing interactions. For example, that's the last thing. Yeah, that's the last thing now. So you want to edit interactions. You don't want this visual. You don't want the interactions from this visual to affect the interactions from this visual. You can block them, you can block them. You don't want the interactions from any of these visuals to affect these visuals. You can block them. All right. So yeah, so I believe that's everything from my end. So thank you so much for coming to my um section. Yeah, so thank you so much. Adine, thank you so much, Kyle. Yeah, done.